Hey everyone, this is Cal Catchers and Side Plates here, and I've got a Trainz 19 tutorial for you. This will be on how to film those Season 1 transition shots. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just play a clip right here. Okay, so we're going to go to Driver. So first we're going to open up Trainz and go to Driver Surveyor. And you'll need a route. You'll need to download a route for the transition, like a Season 1 transition shot route. I've just got the one from TSI, Submarine Industries. You can use that one if you like. I think there's a couple others. Let's actually go to edit. Instead of double clicking on this, we'll go to edit route. If this pops up, just click use changes. So it looks a little gloomy, right? There's not very good lighting, which we'll get to later. Season 1 rocks. Yeah, sure does. It's cheap, but very good looking at the same time, I guess. So anyway, what we're going to do, we're near by the end of the route. That's good. So you can see the buffers right there. So now we're going to place down an engine. We'll need an engine with the updated version of the TTTE script with the things like lamp irons, more controllable eye movements, and more importantly, the shake feature. Because that's something we'll need for this. You'll see why later. So for this video, I'm going to use Submarine Rail's Old Shape Henry. I'm going to turn this thing around, and he has a sneezing face. Yeah, for me, the face randomly is pretty random. Anyway, now what we're going to do is go over to Edit Menu and Edit Environment. We're going to click on one of these dots. We'll make sure you can see. I'll have to make sure I can see Henry well. That'll do. Okay. So you're going to click on one. See these green dots around the circle? You have to click on one of them. I suggest this one down here, I think. And then turn up the brightness like that. Now, depending on which dot you press, you might want to choose a different lightness. Like, you want to turn it up all the way if it's the one down here. Although if you pick the one down here, it's not going to be any shadows. So you could also just turn it down slightly with the one next to it. That's what I'll do right here. Because that gives everything shadows. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to exit out this. So we're going to go to the system menu and exit Surveyor. Not exit game, but exit Surveyor. We want to save this. And I prefer to create a new session if we're doing something like this. And click the check. And then this time we're going to double click the route. And now there'll be, as long as you click create new instead of overwrite, you're going to find this other version. You're going to double click it, and if this pops up, click use changes. And here we can see the same map, except this with Henry still there. Except this time we're in driver mode now, and all the features for Henry are right here. So we're going to go over to camera menu, and see it's on chase. We're going to change that to cab. And it looks like it already has me outside of Henry. But if you were, by default, it should put you in Henry's cab. So you'll have to use the controls. Also, speaking of which, you'll want to go to System Menu, Settings, and General Settings. Make sure that Enable Free Internal Camera is turned on. You'll need it for this. Otherwise, if you're in camera, you won't be able to move around like I'm doing. Speaking of which, you move left and right using the left and right keys. Pretty self-explanatory. However, you press up and down to move forward and backward, and you press. This is the weirdest one of all. You press 9 and 3 on the number pad, not above the keys, but on the number pad, in order to move up and down. And make sure, when using 9 and 3 on the number pad, make sure the number lock is turned off. Because if it's turned on, you see here, they're not working. But if I turn off, it works. Now you want to get a good angle right here. For these shots, I prefer to zoom in with to change the field of view with the mouse wheel. And you can also right-click and drag to move the camera around like this. I think all this needs right here is to just move back and perhaps move up like that. And then there's one more step before we get to recording. The filming. There's a couple more steps actually. We're going to change the face to the face we want. I'm looking for a Season 1 smile. Close out that. And we're going to need this, click on this Thomas right here. And this is very important. This is why we need a model with the shake feature, because we're going to use it. We're going to check on the shake feature. Now you might notice something. If you know anything about the transition shots, you might know this shaking is way too intense. This is what it shows you by default. So what you might want to do is turn it down a notch. Like about here. That will work. Maybe a little lower. Going to now exit out of that. And now we're going to finally get to the recording process. We're going to, since we're at the back now with the buffer is right there, we're now going to move the engine forward at a decent speed. I prefer around 40%. Once it gets to its top speed, we're going to pause. Then we're going to hit F5, function 5 to get rid of the menu. And if you haven't already, you're going to hit Control H in order to get rid of those little arrows that appear above the switches. And finally, we're going to now start recording, and finally hit P again to unpause. And that is how you make Season 1 transition films in Trainz 19. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Peace and love, peace and love.